Life Audio.
On today's episode of Timeless Wisdom,
reading women's minds. The key is that, generally speaking, men believe that men should be able to read their minds. Here's the question. Is that true? And women, you have to be honest on this. Would you like your man to be able to know what you want, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, without you spelling it out?
That's coming up on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager.
Americans may not agree on much, but we agree on Social Security. We all pay in. It ought to be there when we need it. Social Security could face a funding gap in less than a decade, and I don't want to see a pay cut. I'm with AARP in the fight to protect the Social Security we earned.
Pledge to protect Social Security at aarp.org/weearnedit. That's aarp.org/weearnedit. Paid for by AARP.
Welcome to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Hear thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs. And to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles, go to DennisPrager.com.
I'm old-fashioned. I like two sexes. Yeah, and another thing, all of a sudden I don't like being married to what is known as a new woman. I want a wife, not a competitor. Competitor.
Talk about a bit, this crying in the morning thing, this depression, let's get that fixed.
That's what men think, isn't it?
What?
That unless you've got the answer, unless you can say, oh, I know this bloke in the Essex Road who could fix that, then there's no point bothering.
How do you write women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
I love him, and I don't care what you think. I love him for the man he wants to be, and I love him for the man that he almost is.
What do people have rows about?
Money, sex, money. He wants, she doesn't want.
She wants, he doesn't want.
Women have always been a big problem to me, Dr. Fussbend. Are you listening, Doctor?
Yes. Go on.
It doesn't fail to crack me up. Hi, everybody. This is the Male-Female Hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Every week at this exact same time, I have an hour on men and women. It's titled the Male-Female Hour. I will periodically share with you the many emails that I get telling me that this has turned their marriage around. And it is so exciting to me. I'm so happy about that. And we cover very sensitive issues, very sensitive, difficult issues. If you're not in the mood, what do you do? Well, the answer is don't depend on moods. In fact, I'm going to do, Alan, a happiness hour on do nothing based on mood. Moods are a dead end in life, acting on moods. Anyway, everybody, welcome. I'm Dennis Prager, the Male-Female Hour. The subject today is reading women's minds. The key is that, generally speaking, men believe that men should be able to read their minds. Here's the question. Is that true? And women, you have to be honest on this. Would you like your man to be able to know what you want, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, without you spelling it out? And do you feel that if you have to spell it out, well, there's something a little wrong in his understanding of me? If he really, really knew me and really, really loved me, he would know without my saying. 1-8-PRAGER-776. 1-8-PRAGER 776. The experience of nearly all men that I have spoken to on this matter is that their wives or girlfriends expect them to know what they want without their saying so. And here's the clincher. Well, I don't know if it's the clincher. Here's the punchline. They feel that there is something sad, unfortunate if he can't. That the notion that she should have to tell him means that there's a failure in their communication. Men, has this been your experience? See, I happen to have, male that I am, a solution to this problem. It will be highly complex. It will take approximately one sentence to give you the solution. But I won't. Before I give you the solution, however, I want to establish that this really is an issue. If it's not an issue, then we'll move on and discuss 13th century Celtic philosophy. But if it is an issue, it is definitely worth engaging in. 1-8-Prager-776-877-243-7776. Gentlemen, do you generally believe that your wife would like you to be able to know what she wants without her telling you? And ladies, women, W-O-M-E-N or W-O-M-Y-N, if you prefer that spelling, is that what you would like from a guy, from your guy? I shouldn't have to tell him. I shouldn't have to. I'll read to you, for example, I went on a search engine on the internet, and I searched "read a woman's mind." So I came up with this from a woman who writes about women, and this is how to read a woman's mind. This is not a joke. This is dead serious. This is not a joke. How often have you felt you don't understand women? Well, I know a lot of men who are sailing in the same boat as you are. Women, they tell me, are a complicated breed. It is tough to know what's going on inside her head. Although I can't claim to be an expert on the subject, being a woman myself, I quite understand the mechanics of a woman's mind. To know your woman better, you need to be really able to listen, quote unquote, to her. And when I say listen, I mean using not just your auditory senses, but using your other senses as well. This is when men begin to slash their wrists. A woman communicates by using more than mere words. Usually she speaks with body language, eyes, and sometimes even through touch. If you were really cued into your woman, you would be able to read her mind quite easily. For beginners, and then she has some websites which don't really help. But this is perfect. See, gentlemen, it's not hard. All you have to do is read our body language, our eyes, and our touch. And if you're really cued into your woman, you'd be able to read her mind quite easily. To which the guy is now saying, oh my God, no, I can't believe this. Why don't you, drum roll please, This is what men are really thinking when they hear this litany of things that they should be doing in order to understand what it is that their wife wants. The man wants to say, the drummer has been shot. We have a resident drummer. However, he was hijacked by terrorists on his way to the studio today. So I will supply my own drum roll. What it is... Wait. All right. That's it. I wasted all that time for that nothing, mediocre, pathetic drum roll? See? Sometimes you have to insult the musician to get the best out of him. Toscanini used to do that. All right. Here is it. A guy says, my darling, why don't you just tell me? But you understand, a guy who says that, for many women, is an utter and abject failure. That he could not read it on his own? All right, let's go to your calls here. And let's go to Plano, Texas, and Mara. Hello, Mara. Dennis Prager.
Hi there. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good. Thanks for taking my call. I once heard someone say, and I don't remember who it was, but that no one should expect to have their mind be read after the age of 18 months.
I love it. Are you married?
Yes, I'm married.
And you don't, and you have applied that rule to your marriage?
I do. I try as much as I can.
If you would like me, I will personally send an email to your husband telling him how lucky he is.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It just makes sense.
That is a great line. Keep that, Alan. No one should expect to have their mind read after the age of 18 months. That's great. Who told you that?
I don't remember. I wish I did, but it was a few years ago, and I just don't remember.
All right. But is there a part of you that would like your husband to be able to, or you truly have relinquished that?
Well, I mean, I think at times when I'm frustrated that we're not communicating properly, then definitely there's that part of me that would just wish he got it, in a sense.
Yeah.
But I think we have to really, give our spouses the benefit of the doubt that they,
All right, so you acknowledge that this is a part of female nature that you simply had to fight.
I think so.
Okay, all right, let me leave it at that. Mara, bless you, thank you. This is a big deal because it's a real source of some marital tension where the guy is deemed somewhat of a failure, and maybe he isn't. Back in a moment.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Rising interest rates, stock volatility, out-of-control inflation. People are concerned about what the future holds financially. This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's no better time than the present to move a portion of your IRA into precious metals. You should know there's a right and a wrong way to set up your precious metals IRA. Mistakes could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in IRS fines. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion, 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com. That's AmericanFederal.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
Dennis Prager here on the Male-Female Hour. Every week at exactly this time, we talk about men and women. Today it's about the desire that many, many women have that their man, their husband, their future husband, their hopefully future husband can read their mind. Now, you know my view. We are allowed to have an infinite number of wishes. That's the way it is. And men are allowed to have their fantasy wishes. The question is whether we apply them to reality and let them disturb us when they're not fulfilled. So you are allowed to want this, but it's not a good idea to expect it. There's no reason on earth why a man who loves and adores you should read your mind. There just isn't. And here is a call that may make I can't predict, but I think may give an idea of how serious an issue this can be. Bruce in Fort Worth, Texas. Dennis Prager, hi.
Hi, not a better program on the radio, Mr. Prager.
Thank you very much.
Say, this was instrumental, this subject, in my divorce, and, I could not read my wife's mind, so I started to attempt to try, and when I get it wrong, it made the matters even worse.
And she felt as a result what?
She felt as a result that I could not read her mind, that I wasn't intuitive or didn't care for her, I wasn't paying enough attention, et cetera, et cetera.
That if you really loved her, you would know her, and you would know her, that would be demonstrated by your knowing what she's feeling.
Exactly. And what a waste of a relationship.
Well, Bruce, it breaks my heart, but I want you to know you've helped a lot of people. I thank you. That's the subject lends itself to a lot of levity, and I've engaged in my own here. but I didn't raise it because it's light. It's not light. It's destructive. And there is a man who claims, now I'm sure his wife would offer other thoughts, and I have no doubt. That's not my point. My point is it was bad enough for someone to say that was a root cause of his divorce. Well, if it's a root cause of a divorce, it's certainly going to be a root cause of tension in those who don't divorce. And that is a fact. I said I'd give you the solution later. I'll give you the solution now because there's no reason to delay. The answer is you tell him what you feel. That's the answer. It's so simple that it's almost painful that it needs to be said, but it does need to be said. People don't think, if you want him to know what you're feeling, tell him. And the vast majority of men are decent guys who will respond. And that's it. It is so simple. It doesn't mean he loves you less, understands you less. And I even remember the caller's name, Mara, also in Texas. Said after the age of 18 months, you should not expect your mind to be read. That's why God gave us the ability to talk. By the way, sometimes, this is a different subject, and it has not just for men and women or men, husbands and wives, is you might want to write it. I believe that there are times when writing is more effective than speaking. It gives you a chance to really know what you're saying, gives you a time to think it over, gives the person who is receiving the words a chance to react non-defensively. You might want to do it in an instant messaging session. You might want to do it in a letter, in an email. I mean it to someone you live with. Well, I don't know why writing is always considered inferior to saying. It's not at all. Sometimes one is better, sometimes the other, but that's another subject. The point is, tell him. In Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, it's Francine. Hello, Francine. Dennis Prager, thanks for calling.
You're very welcome. So my point is, and I learned this from a male therapist of mine.
Wait, you learned it from a whom?
From a male therapist.
Male therapist, okay.
And so he asked me a question about my husband, and I was describing him, and he said, oh, so he has man disease.
Male disease. And what is that?
Man disease.
Oh, man disease. It's a bad connection. Go on.
Oh, okay, well, I can make it better. Hello?
Yeah. What were you doing
Hello?
originally? Were you talking through a megaphone?
I was talking through my Bluetooth.
Oh, don't do that, folks, please. It's a national radio show. Okay, go ahead.
So he called it man disease, and I think that the reason that women would like men to be more intuitive is because they are more intuitive generally than the male species is.
Except, my dear, this is key, not with men. They're more intuitive with other women. You don't read our minds any better than we read yours. Silence is agreement, said the Talmud 2,000 years ago. Is she gone? That's funny. Call me back if you can, because I'd love to get your reaction. But that's key. I told you, this is a very serious subject. This is very important. Women's intuition, forgetting women's intuition about all sorts of things, or they may read their child. They may read their children better in certain ways, and certain ways not. That's a separate issue. But I don't believe that women read men's minds one whit better than there's no doubt in my mind that they don't. Because the human being is not capable of reading others' minds. That's not a gift that we're given. And so it's not a flaw. It's not a flaw in men. It's not a flaw in women. But when women say, well, we read others, they mean other women. Yes, they do pick up on cues from other women. No doubt. But we're not women. Anyway, thank God you don't know what your man is thinking all the time. It's one of the great reliefs that men have, knowing that. There are 3 men in the studio right now, Alan and 2 interns. This is the smile of recognition. Let's go to Debbie in Van Nuys, California. Hi, Debbie. Dennis Prager.
Hi.
Hi.
I think it would be actually, now that you just brought up, it would be a good topic to ask men, do women read your mind any better than you read theirs? Because I think I don't agree with you. I think that we do tend to try harder to...
You may try harder.
I think, and I can only speak from my marriage, I know that I succeed much better in reading my husband's mind, but I don't expect him to read mine anymore. It was very devastating for the first few years that I was married, and I agree.
Thank you for your honesty.
In the beginning,
yeah.
About it feeling like, oh, he doesn't love me enough. If only he...
That's right. This is... All right, tell me. I'm going to keep you on. I want to know what you read in your husband's mind. Back in a moment.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Rising interest rates, stock volatility, out-of-control inflation. People are concerned about what the future holds financially. This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's no better time than the present to move a portion of your IRA into precious metals. You should know there's a right and a wrong way to set up your precious metals IRA. Mistakes could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in IRS fines. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion, 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com. That's AmericanFederal.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
That's relevant. You're listening to the Male-Female Hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Another, hopefully, deeply relationship-improving hour here on the real issue. Indeed, as one man called in, it was the primary cause of his divorce, tragically. His wife feeling that he was inept, unloving, uncaring because he couldn't read her mind. And I think that is a natural proclivity of women to want their minds read. It is a way of their feeling that they are truly understood and loved, but it is not available to others. Women pick up on cues in other women. That I will acknowledge. And therefore they apply that to men picking up cues in women, but men pick up cues in men, as it were, that women don't pick up on. We know what other guys are thinking a lot of the time. Not that that's very complex. It's pretty much one or two subjects. But let's go back to Debbie here. And Debbie, now you say that you do on occasion or often read your husband's mind?
Well, women have the advantage because I think men are not as complicated as women are. I mean,
you could drop, I think. Just state categorically, we are not as complicated as you.
They're just not as complicated as we are. I mean, for a woman to pack on an overnight thing, you need a suitcase because I don't know what I feel like wearing tomorrow. I mean,
that's right.
Most women are so emotionally driven that what we want there is no consistent basis.
That's
what
right.
I want it on Monday could absolutely
which makes it
on Thursday.
So you admit, Debbie, it makes it even harder to read your mind.
I advise women all the time. This is my number one tip to brides. Don't expect him to read your mind. He's not your mother.
That's great.
That's really
you women are coming up with great lines. That Mara's great line. After 18 months, we should not expect people to read our minds.
Well, because save the heartache because of
that's right. But you acknowledged earlier. You did acknowledge that it was a source of heartache for you in the beginning of your marriage.
Then I thought about it, and I realized the reason is because I had it was at a time that I was having, my oldest children. I realized, what? I'm expecting him to be like me. I'm constantly figuring out, what does this cry mean? What does this cry mean? What does this child mean? These nonverbal cues from kids. And women will tell you, they know which cry
That's
means
right.
hunger,
That's
I'm tired.
That's
and all
right.
Of these, so if we can do it, of course, and we love this child, you could do it if you love me.
You're how good.
Wrong.
How's your marriage today?
Wonderful.
Okay, that's it. Bless you. That was so important. Thank you. Donna, Phoenix, Arizona. Dennis Prager, hi.
Hi, good morning. My husband reads my mind and knows me really well, which I have to say is sometimes pretty scary for me.
Huh.
The converse, though, is that he expects me to know him just as well. For example, not to ask questions, just to know what he likes. We've been married a long time. Just know. Don't ask me. Just
like know what, for example? What he wants for dinner? I mean, you know, what happened at work?
What do we want to do? What would he like to have for dinner? Do you want to do this activity or that one? And it's sometimes, I have to say, quite frustrating. But
frustrating. You know, I would have jumped off a nearby bridge.
Well, I thought about it.
Yeah, I'll bet you did. But there aren't many in Phoenix. You're very lucky. That is so interesting to me. As a man, I do acknowledge, and it's not a judgment at all on your husband, but I don't relate to that. I have no ache to have my mind read.
You know, it
in fact, I almost feel funny because it's like, isn't it a privacy zone?
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, I ask because I want to know. Something could have changed from last week or last
So
month
you have a
or
switcheroo in your marriage.
Yeah.
He reads you, and you, which most men don't do to women, but he wants his read in return.
Yes.
Very interesting. Huh. Look, that's why, please understand, folks, and you know I know this, I am a big fan of generalizations. As I always say, generalizations are the mother of wisdom. No generalizations, no wisdom. On the other hand, almost no generalization applies to everybody. So, but you see, it causes a problem in her marriage. It's just that the roles are reversed. The sexes are reversed. Back in a moment.
Good morning. I'm actually calling if you could get this message through to whomever. I listened to the Dennis Prager show last night. It was wonderful, absolutely excellent. And I just wanted to pass that word along. So valuable. Anyway, thank you. Bye-bye.
Are you enjoying Timeless Wisdom? We'd love to hear from you. Call 877-243-7776 and leave a review, share your thoughts, or just even an encouraging word for Dennis. Your voicemail might just make it on the show. That's 877-243-7776. That's 877-243-7776. Thanks for listening and for your support.
Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here, the male-female hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Every week at this time, tell folks about this hour. Of course, tell them about the show generally, if you would, but certainly about this hour, because if I could share with you every email on how this has turned marriages around, you would realize the potential for good that communications have. Today is one of those examples. I'm even getting text messages from people I know saying that they wish their spouse would hear this, or their spouse is, and they hope it gets through. That's how important this is, and it, you know, it's a topic that lends itself to fun, but beneath the fun is dynamite seriousness, because it can blow up a marriage. The expectation that many women have that the man who loves them will read their mind. And it's an unfair expectation. It's just unfair because it can't be done, and nor is it necessary to be done. And it has nothing to do, please, women, hear me out. It has nothing whatsoever to do with A, how much he loves you, B, how much he understands you. He can love you with the deepest of loves. He can understand you as best a human can understand another human and still not read your mind. There is nothing wrong and only good in telling him what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Tell him. Why is that not romantic? What stops? That's worthy perhaps of a part two, Alan, on this. What stops you, the woman, from telling him? Do you feel it's unromantic? Do you feel it announces a failing in your communications between the two of you? What's wrong with just doing that? Okay, let's see here. And let's go back. I'm happy it was. We got back to Francine. Francine, did you hear me earlier when I was saying that when you and I were talking, and for some reason, the line just disconnected? But when I was
didn't
saying,
hear what you said.
Okay, I was saying that I think you were mentioning about cues that women feel that they have, and I was saying they get these cues, these non-verbalized cues, from other women. Not from men. In other words, women may read women better. They read other women better than men read women. But they don't read men better than men read men.
Okay. But as you said later, but men are much simpler than women are. Women
That's
are much
right.
more
Yes,
complicated.
you're right. But even having said that, though, I just wanted to make sure you heard that. Thanks, Francine. Thank you very much for calling. It was important to me that she heard that. Women, please know something. We read men better than you read men. We guys know what other guys are thinking much of the time, whether we're simpler or not, and we are, but that's beside the point. We read each other better. I'll give you an example of where, for example, a woman will often say to a guy, didn't you notice that woman was coming on to you? And the guy will say, honey, you got to be kidding. We think that it may almost be a natural form of jealousy, which is fine, by the way. There should be a tiny bit of jealousy. It's a good thing. It's bad when it's corrosive, destructive, paranoid, and so on. But that's okay. That's not an issue, which is another good subject, by the way, jealousy. Let's put that down. But notice, folks, I said let's put that down, not Alan, write that down. I've become paranoid on this since the roast. No. I want to develop this theme. Prager's paranoia. And he's signaling, go back to the subject, and I want to talk about my paranoia. All right. This is a perfect example. A guy is told by his girlfriend or his wife, did you see the way that woman was coming on to you? And the guy is thinking, oh, you have to be kidding. She asked me what time it was. She didn't have a watch on. That was it. I had that recently where somebody said, did you see the way that woman came on to you? I said, oh, you got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding. And she said, no, the way she swung her head. I could not make this up, right? I could not make this up. The way she swung her head. If I lived 6,000 years, I would not notice the way a woman swings her head as denoting something about her reaction to me. Most guys, by the way, will know if a woman is coming on to him if she gives him a note that was notarized by a notary public. I hereby announce I am coming on to you, wish to have you, ache for you, and want you. And then he'll think it's a joke. So even then it doesn't work. That's why I've always said to you folks, I know guys. Most guys know guys, by the way. This is no great unique ability that I have. Guys know guys. And that is not... So it is not unique. Women, we read women and you read babies. That's true. You pick up signs from little kids that we guys miss. You may know the kid is crying because of X, and the guy is thinking, how the hell did she know that? Right? That's true. Then that's a God-given gift, in my opinion, to women. Otherwise, many children would die. Because the guy would, first of all, we would continue to sleep to begin with. We're not even awakened by such things. All right, we continue. This is really, really important. Babies don't snore quite like that. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the guy. You're right. That was good. That was fair. We continue. I pray, and I really do, that this is helping a lot of people listening. You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, the Male-Female Hour.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Precious metals dealers come and go. This is Nick Grovich, president of AmFed Coin and Bullion. We've stood the test of time since 1983. With the flurry of coin and bullion dealers coming and going, how do you know who to trust and what to buy? At AmFed Coin and Bullion, we value educated consumers. We want to alert you to good bullion buys in the market and help you steer clear of the tricks and bad deals. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion for a free coin performance review. 800-221-7694 or AmericanFederal.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
Yes, indeed. The male-female hour on the Dennis Prager show. On the Dennis Slow. Well, that was impressive. On the Dennis Prager Show. Been talking to you today about such an important subject, the expectation that many women have, and it has very unfortunate repercussions in a marriage, that their mind be read by their husband. Women can read women, men can read men, women can read children, or little children certainly, and babies in particular, which is a gift and wonderful. But beyond that, the answer to this problem is staggeringly simple. You tell your partner what's on your mind, what you would like, how you're feeling, etc. You tell it. It's so interesting because women often complain, and not without some validity, that there's not enough communication in their marriage, and then they don't communicate because they want to be read. Well, which is it? Do you want to communicate, or do you want to be read? That's not the same thing. All right, let me just summarize the calls here. It's always a problem when there are so many good ones. Let's see. Ken in Mission Viejo, California. Women often think they have intuition and jump to the wrong conclusion, which can be very damaging. That's an interesting question. Is that you guys resonate? I have 4 men surrounding me here. Does that resonate with you? Larry, last caller's husband expects her to read his mind because men are so predictable. Well, that was that relatively rare instance where it was the opposite. He wants to be read and reads her mind. So I'm not sure we can learn much from that. Don't hang up, folks. I'm trying to summarize your calls. Linnell in Bremerton, Washington, telling my husband what I need doesn't work with my husband because he always tries to read into what I say. Well, that's a separate issue entirely, and that might be a good example of where marital therapy might help. You have a very specific issue, and it might help him there. Larry in Phoenix, ironic, first thing women want from men is good communication, but then women expect men to read their minds. Exactly what we were saying here. That's so funny. I hadn't even seen that one. You're right, Larry. And Patrick in Dallas, if women are so intuitive and know what we want, why aren't we having more sex? Finally, some guy called in with the question that is on every single guy's mind listening to this hour. Folks, this has been the Male-Female Hour. I hope it's helped. This is Dennis Prager.
Tomorrow on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager.
I have a guest. He's one of the best writers of nonfiction, that is especially history, living today. And I follow him so avidly that I'm telling you, and I have him on every book that he writes.
Russia and Europe, where I come from, manifestly not being united, and yet this country, such a polyglot amalgam of mongrel peoples, is united. And how has this happened? And so I started drawing up a list of the people that one way or another seem to have built the physical links, the connective tissue of this country. And my wife, who is Japanese and comes from a country where, with everyone being Japanese, unity is something easy to achieve, she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm making this list." And she said, "Oh, you're making a list of the men who united the states." And I said, "Sweetheart, you have given me the title. I bless you." And once you got the title, and no one else had used that title, remarkably, then the book sort of shaped itself around and within this title.
Oh, that's terrific.
Join us tomorrow to hear more on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Visit DennisPrager.com for thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs, and to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles. We want to take just a second to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on the podcast. Go to lifeaudio.com to find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network, including shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and more.
Precious metals dealers come and go. This is Nick Grovich, president of AmFed Coin and Bullion. We've stood the test of time since 1983. With the flurry of coin and bullion dealers coming and going, how do you know who to trust and what to buy? At AmFed Coin and Bullion, we value educated consumers. We want to alert you to good bullion buys in the market and help you steer clear of the tricks and bad deals. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion for a free coin performance review. 800-221-7694 or AmericanFederal.com.